Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about XRP. And in that last video, I talked about the Ethereum ETFs. And this is going to be all the talk going forward. Once the ETFs go live, I think we're going to see a shift from Bitcoin into Ethereum. And all the hype will be around Ethereum all of a sudden. That's why I said it could start us off in towards alt season. And I think this is going to come in the very near future, like over the coming weeks. So I think we're getting very close is what I'm saying. Things are happening, folks. And you know, while everybody's so focused on the Bitcoin ETFs and the Ethereum ETFs, this is what's going on with Ripple. Jack McDonald, the CEO of PolySign, will be joining Ripple as head of institutional custody after the approval of the acquisition of standard custody by Ripple. And take a listen to what Jack says here.
I'm the parent company for Standard Custody and Trust, which is a New York qualified custodian. We're days away, hopefully, from closing our transaction and selling Standard Custody and Trust to Ripple, upon which I'll be joining Ripple. I'm quite excited about that.
Can you talk a little bit about what was the strategic importance of that for Ripple? Why was Ripple interested in buying Standard Custody?
Ripple's really evolved from what 10 or 11 years ago was a cross-border payments company to today really more broad-based in terms of tokenization, payments, custody, and in the not-too-distant future will be stablecoin. And I think in the end have focused on a mission to provide enterprise-based solutions for those institutions who want to tokenize, store, move, and exchange value on blockchains around the world. And
what is going on with Ripple, in my opinion, is Ripple is becoming a bank. That's what's happening. And you could see it because they have custody solutions. They're coming up with lending and borrowing solutions. They also have a place that you can now tokenize assets and move those assets. You utilizing XRP, moving all of that value. Ripple is becoming bigger and bigger over time. And people are so focused on ETFs for Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's the retail mindset. You got to think like the institutions are thinking. Look at the much bigger picture. This is what's going to make us rich over the coming months into the coming years. And then there's this as well. Eventually replace SWIFT entirely. That's Ripple's end game, in my opinion. And I think where we're going to see that really happen is through the BRICS. The BRICS don't want to utilize SWIFT at all. Other countries out there, they don't want to utilize SWIFT anymore either. They want a better solution. They want a faster, cheaper solution. And that's why I think they're going to choose Ripple and XRP as we move forward. But we only need to capture 10% of SWIFT's business, and all of a sudden we're looking at a 3-digit XRP. Could you imagine if Ripple and totally just replace SWIFT altogether? And you know, that could happen over time. And like I said about Ripple becoming a bank, imagine Ripple replacing the Fed at some point, because that was talked about in the past. And what's the narrative today? Everybody wants to end the Fed. We have politicians coming up with bills to end the Fed because the Fed has done nothing for us. They created the inflation that they're also trying to fight off at the same time. Ripple considers IPO outside US as CEO says US listing makes no sense. I talked about this a little bit the other day. I don't see a short-term IPO for Ripple in the United States. However, overseas, I think it could happen in the short term. And that would also give us an idea on what kind of value would come to XRP if Ripple was to have an IPO. I'm anticipating how that plays out. Wow, is Ripple about to launch USD-backed stablecoin in June this month? Because MiCA stablecoin rules will come into effect on June 30th, 2024. This would fit perfectly. Bullish on XRP. That comes from Crypto Barbie. And that would make sense if they were to launch their stablecoin at the same time as MiCA regulations goes live. And I think once MiCA goes live, I think other countries are going to look at those regulations and they're going to say, well, let's just go with the same regulations as the EU, because it's going to be an easier path forward for them as well. XRP Ledger AMM update. Total locked XRP has burst past 5 million and total achieved pulls are now in excess of 500. This comes from Bill Morgan. I remember when I first talked about the AMM, people said, nobody's even going to use that. There's never going to be any XRP locked up. People don't want to risk losing any of their XRP. But now we see over 5 million XRP is already locked. How much value is going to come from this? We really don't know yet. Over time, we're going to see more and more XRP get locked inside of the AMM. Then we'll get a better idea on where that's going as well. This is the third or fourth time Brad Garlinghouse has gone out of his way to tell the market Tether is not untouchable. Tether is going to lose market share. He is telegraphing this to the market for a reason, in my opinion. Strap in. This comes from Digital Asset Investor.
So you're getting into the business of stablecoins. It's pretty crowded, $200 billion, the collective market cap, Tether, USDC, other players. Why now?
Well, look, I think if you look at where the market is going, well, you're right. It's somewhere between 150 and $200 billion today. I think forecasts are that's going to be somewhere around 2 trillion to 3 trillion. So that's growth of 10 to 20x where it is today. So that in and of itself is those are fun markets to be in, that they're growing quickly. The second is, I think there's likely to be some shifts in market share. Today, Tether is by far the dominant. The U.S. government, for better or for worse, we can debate, but the U.S. government has expressed concerns about Tether and how it operates outside of the United States, representing a U.S. dollar. I think the U.S. government is taking the position, well, if you're representing a U.S. dollar, you need to be regulated by the United States. That isn't the case today, and I think there may be some shifts in how that market share. But look, overall, I think Tether will continue to grow. I think USDC will continue to grow. But I think there's a lot of room as that market grows for a Ripple-backed stablecoin.
What I've been doing lately is I've been shifting any crypto I have that's tied to USDT away from USDT. Because of what Brad said right there. Tether is representing the US dollar outside of the United States, yet at the same time, it cannot pass regulations here inside the United States. So once regulations are put in place, I could see a major problem for Tether, and I want to get ahead of that problem while I still have time. But this is the path we're on now. And I think Ripple's new stablecoin, it's going to be accepted by any bank. It's going to open the doors at the bank to Ripple's technology. Because we're also going to get stablecoin regulations here in the United States in the very near future. They are going to fast track that because it opens the doors to CBDC as well. And I still think they're going to try to fast track a CBDC in the US. Qatar Central Bank announces launch of digital currency project CBDC. Every single country is leaning in this direction. Everything is getting fast tracked at the same time. Honestly, things are moving quicker than I even thought they would. I thought this was going to be something we would be talking about in 2026 into 2027. But now we're talking about it all happening between 2024 and 2025. I think once Russia announced their CBDC, that was the first accelerator. Then BRICS trying to de-dollarize the United States, That's another accelerator. That's why everything is now moving faster than ever before. And I think it's all getting, put in place, and it's all ready to go live probably within the next 12 to 18 months. Who benefits the most from a cashless Australia? Now take a listen to this.
As ATMs and bank branches close and Australians increasingly rely on digital payments, one economist predicts the country will be cashless in the next few years. But there are fears a world without banknotes will leave people unable to pay for essential goods and become easy targets for cyber criminals.
We're definitely going to become a cashless society. It's better for consumers and it's better for businesses. Year one, we'll get rid of the $50 bill. Year two, we'll get rid of the 20 and the 10, and year three, we'll kind of mop up the small change. And that would give people time to adjust. For older Australians, it's going to be more challenging.
No, not cashless. Definitely not.
Millions of Australians trust and rely on cash every day.
And it comes without the data breaches, scams and tech failures of digital payments.
Because it's not reliable. As soon as there's a flood, as soon as there's a fire, as soon as there's an internet outage, nobody can spend.
But we already know XRP works offline, XLM as well. And I can't believe how fast this is happening. Take notice how he said, year one, we get rid of the $50 bill or whatever their currency is. And then year two, we get rid of the 20 and the 10. I think the same approach is going to happen in every other country. You're going to have a parallel system, and over time, certain denominations will disappear, and incentives will also happen at the same time. But this looks like it's going to happen over the next 2.5 years. And at the same time, the new financial system is also going to be rising. And more, I think by then, most likely, every single person that's unbanked now will have access to a bank account. They're not going to leave anyone behind. We are going to see a level playing field. But here in the US, people would always say, well, that's never going to happen here in the United States. But I'm a realist. I see what's coming. And even when they show you one thing on the mainstream media news and you listen to all the great talking points, look at what's going on behind the scenes. The Fed has met behind closed doors with this administration. The Treasury, the power is shifting from the Fed to the Treasury at the same time. Why? Because the Treasury is more likely to get a CBDC up and running quicker than the Fed can, because the Fed is not part of the United States government. And if you look at all that happened, that we have facts that we know was taking place, it shows you what's really going on. And I still think they're going to try to fast track a CBDC this year. But that's just my own opinion. I'm not a fan of CBDC. I think we should fix the current system. Utilize XRP to fix it with the on-demand liquidity. But they don't want to fix anything. That it's the same reason that anytime a new bill comes up that could help this country push ahead with innovation, right away they shoot it down. They don't want to fix nothing. That's what I see going on. And no matter how this plays out, though, us as XRP investors, we still get rich no matter how this plays out. Because if you got to move value from one country to another country, from point A to point B, you still need a bridge. And that bridge is always going to be XRP. That's what it's built to do. Any type of value can move through XRP. But until it all happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.